How Girlypop is your favorite fairy type? Are we almost at 2,000 subscribers on YouTube? Yes. Are a lot of them from Final Fantasy XIV? Yes. Are a lot of them from Genshin Impact? Yes. Are we covering either of those games? No. Look, if there's one thing I know, Girlypops love to do a ranking of fairy types. So this is what we're gonna do. We will be ranking the Girlypopness of every single Pokemon that has touched the fairy type. I mean, like even Mega Evolutions too, because Pokemon Legends is coming out and they're bringing Megas back apparently, so that's canon again. Before we get started, let's just quickly go over the tiers. First, we have Mother, that's S tier. These are Girlypops that are doing 120%. They're really pushing the envelope. They're really out here representing the typing. Then we have Girlypop, 100% Girlypop, standard, passing grades with flying colors. And then third tier is okay, it could go either way. It can be Girlypop, it can be a flop. It has the potential to go either way. This is like the chaotic neutral. They can also have like more of like an ally sort of moment, if you get what I'm saying. Then the second to last tier is looks around. This is when it's starting to get a little bit suspicious. It's not like a total write-off. It's not like you're not Girlypop, but baby, you've been doing the opposite of Girlypop so far. And then last tier, skip. Like, let's just not talk about it. Starting with Cleffa, I'm gonna put Cleffa in okay. I know this might be surprising, but let's be real. In comparison to all of the other baby Pokemon, Cleffa does not necessarily stand out. It's not super ugly moment, but it doesn't stand out. And I do think that she's relying a lot on the legacy that's already been established by a very, very iconic Girlypop that came before her, which is Clefairy. In terms of how they were released, Clefairy is Mother, and she came first. Cleffa is relying on her a lot, and I think that Clefable is also Mother, because I think Clefable did a successful follow-up, and you don't often see that in every single Girlypop evolution tree. Shout out to Clefable. Next, we have Alolan Ninetales. Mother, in my opinion, Alolan Ninetales quite literally sold at least 30% of the physical product that came out during Generation 7, because she is so iconic and beautiful and gorgeous, and all of the Girlypops got their wallet out to experience whatever story she wanted to give us. Now, let's start with Jigglypuff, because Jigglypuff is next, but I want to start with Jigglypuff. Where on earth is that little thing? Looks around, because Jigglypuff was extremely lazy. I have wanted to like Jigglypuff. I've tried to find different angles and perspectives to like Jigglypuff, but it's just such a lazy baby Pokemon. It doesn't even compare to the likes of Cleffa, let's be real. Now, Jigglypuff is Mother. I feel like this doesn't need any explanation. The representation that she has alone in nerd culture speaks for itself. And Wigglytuff, I'll say that Wigglytuff is Girlypop, because Wigglytuff has a lot of fans, but how on earth are you ever going to compare to Jigglypuff? And you know, honestly, it's kind of like a blessing and a curse to exist in a really iconic evolution tree now that we're looking at this, because we are going to have to compare them to their own evolution tree. So while Wigglytuff is really iconic and we all really love Wigglytuff, she's always going to be competing with Jigglypuff, and Jigglypuff is the one. Galarian Rapidash. I think that Galarian Rapidash tried to do what Alolan Ninetales did and almost did it, and for that, she's Girlypop. Galarian Weezing, I have a big soft spot for it, and I'm gonna put it in okay, because this could definitely be the opposite of a Girlypop aesthetic. However, the camp factor, going with the concept of being like a little bit English, giving Weezing a fairy typing, a lot of the decisions that were made in the artistic design of Weezing, I have to give credit for. And I think that if we can embrace the aesthetic and try to build around it, it could have a big Girlypop representation. But the concepts alone, from first glance, no Girlypop trainer is really picking it up. So let's start with Mime Jr., because that is the first one in this line. I do think that Mime Jr. is a Girlypop baby Pokemon. This is how you take a concept, this is how you take an iconic Pokemon and elevate it and adjust it to the left, adjust it to the right. How else can we make this evolution tree more broad and wide and dense? How can we make the aesthetics more varied and nuanced? Because the journey from from Mime Jr. to Mr. Mime feels like there's a through line, but also feels like there's difference in each step. Now, Mr. Mime has some iconic stuff to it. I wouldn't say that it's a girly pop Pokemon. However, the representation that it had in the anime, it's a little bit funny. It's not girly pop. It's okay. There's just things about it that make it okay. Now let's start with the Togepi line. Togepi, I'm gonna say that Togepi is mother. I'm sorry, but like a lot of the Pokemon that have that sort of girly pop representation in the anime, you know, like there's always like 1 or 2 or 3 Pokemon that are supposed to be like the girly ones, the ones for us. They give it every time, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna eat it up every time. Now, Togetic. I love to run a Togetic. I will refuse to evolve Togetic because I think it's so cute and I love the aesthetic of having it on my team. That being said, when we're looking at what it's sandwiched in between, it's the weaker of the two. I'm gonna say that it's okay because I would say that Togetic doesn't have as many fans as like Wigglytuff, and they're kind of competing in the same lane right now, that's sort of cursed with following up a very, very iconic Pokemon existing in a very iconic evolution tree. It's the middle child, but it doesn't even compare to Wiggly. Now let's move on to Togekiss. They're so hard to pronounce, but that one is mother as well. I think that Togekiss, the journey of when Togekiss debuted in, what was it, Generation 4, it was so exciting, but it still retained that girly pop factor to it. And this was before the fairy typing even became a thing, but I feel like Togekiss knew the fairy typing was coming somewhere intrinsically and decided to keep that aesthetic, and I really appreciate that. Togekiss feels representative of the iconicness that is Togepi, but it's taken it somewhere. It looks so grand and strong and interesting and compelling. That's why Togekiss gets into the mother category. Azurill is like a girly pop baby. I feel like it's definitely the weaker of the girly pop babies, like compared to Mime Jr., but the coloring and the cuteness of it, the way that it translated to the 3D world and still retained its cuteness, you got to give credit where credit is due. And now that I'm looking at it, really, it does belong in girly pop. I don't know, something about me personally, I never really go out of my way for this baby Pokemon, but it is a really good one, isn't it? Marill, I honestly think, while Marill should be way higher, I want to say Marill's looks around. Marill's just really gotten forgotten, especially in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, how strong Azumarill was at the beginning of Scarlet and Violet's like sort of service. Like everyone was really running a shiny Azumarill, and I feel like Generation 9 has solidified that Azumarill has replaced Marill in terms of like who's the mother representation of this Pokemon, because it is a mother Pokemon. It's a mother evolution line. You can go ahead and say the Clefable line, the Jigglypuff line, the Togepi line, the Marill line, all mother lines, but Azumarill is the representation of it. Snubull is a looks around. I love Snubull. I think that the shiny is so interesting. I think that like really big connoisseurs of the fairy typing, people who really feel like they specialize in the fairy typing, explore the fairy typing a lot, keep a lot of fairy typings on them, know and love Snubull, but let's be real, it's not, it's even more irrelevant than like Cleffa at this point. It's more irrelevant than Galarian Weezing at this point. I love it, but I don't know what they're doing to it. It feels like they're mad at it. Like, why are they treating Snubull this way? It has so much potential. Could you imagine if they gave like Mega Granbull like a moment and then in Pokemon Legenza? Like, get into that. Speaking of which, Granbull, first skip. I was really thinking that fairy typing might not get a skip, but Granbull is definitely a skip. Ralts, mother. Kirlia, mother. Gardevoir, mother. I hate to be so cliche, but the whole line has excitement. Every girly pop trainer is excited to see a Ralts, a Kirlia, or a Gardevoir. Even if we can't catch it, we're like, yes, Ralts, yes, Kirlia, yes, Gardevoir. Like, get into that moment. Now, is Gallade a fairy type? Oh, it's not. Okay. Mawile, another mother. Altaria, Mega Altaria, another mother. Mega Audino, another mother. Speaking of the Megas, while I'm so glad that Pokemon Legends will be bringing Megas back, I really wish that Audino just retroactively got Mega Audino as a final evolution and they just downscaled the stats a bit to match more of a final evolution. I also wish that they found some way of giving Altaria this Mega form. It feels so wrong that we lost this and the only time that we can experience it is in the Pokemon games that considered Mega to be canon, and hopefully in Pokemon Legenza. I hope that they just keep going forward and let us keep Mega evolutions. Who cares about power creep? Who cares about how crazy it's gonna get? Y'all are already adding so many gimmicks every single game. Just go with it at this point. Cottony. I'm gonna say Cottony is a skip. Like, nobody really cares about Cottony, but a lot of us really care about Whimsicott. Now, Whimsicott, while I want to put it in Mother because Whimsicott is my second favorite Pokemon of all time, I'm thinking about it, right? I'm thinking about the Girlypops, I'm thinking about the mothers, and Whimsicott does not belong in the tier with them. It does belong in okay, and I do think that of all the okays, it's probably a little bit more of a higher ranking okay. I would get into the details of like placing it like maybe here to be more of like a better okay, but I'm not gonna get into that because I can't keep up with that. Flabebe? I feel like Flabebe's like okay. And then like Floette gets to Girlypop, and then Florges gets to Mother. And I feel like the whole concept just really translates all the way through. I feel like that was kind of like how they wanted it to feel, and I feel like they executed it well. Spritzee is a looks around. I don't know what it is, but every time I talk to trainers and gamers that really like the fairy typing, Spritzee, Slurpuff, Aromatisse, that whole line, why are we forgetting about it? It's either people don't like them, like they explicitly don't like it, or they forgot about it. And for that, like, it's like looks around, like the whole line is looks around, and I feel like they should have gotten way more representation, but for some reason we're just like forgetting them. Sylveon is Mother. The implications of Sylveon, the way that Sylveon not only made Eevee even more relevant and even more loved, but also turned the entire Eevee line into like queer representation. Like something cosmic happened in the universe to make Sylveon the icon that it is. Dedenne, another mother. Carbink, another mother. No. Let's say Carbink is Girlypop because we all love Carbink, and Carbink kind of has like the same vibe of Snubull. I feel like if they keep treating Carbink the way that it's being treated now, 3 generations, it's going to be in the same tier as Snubull. You get what I'm saying? Like, you get what I'm saying, right? Klefki is okay because Klefki is getting kind of shafted a little bit, and Carbink is going to go down there with it. Xernues, I'm gonna say okay as well. I know that a lot of people get excited because, oh, well, technically Xernues is the legendary Pokemon of the fairy typing. Okay, I will give it credit for being like grand and its antlers light up, so it's okay. It's not like looks around, but it's okay. Primarina. You guys can go ahead and answer that one. Like, we already knew that one. Dianci, we already know this one. Cutiefly is Girlypop. And I also think Ribombee is Girlypop as well. We all love Ribombee, don't get me wrong. We want to put her in Mother, but you're starting to see the visual representation of how this looks. And like, Ribombee is not a Gardevoir. It's not a Dianci. It is Girlypop though. Marill is definitely okay because Marill is promising, and I feel like a lot of people caught Marill. And I know that there's a camp of people that love Shiinotic. I adore Shiinotic, but for some reason, as a Girlypop fairy typing, something about it, for like half of the Girlypop connoisseurs, it doesn't translate. And for that, it's going to be looks around because the journey, I feel like if Shiinotic stood alone, it would be okay, but the journey of catching Marill and evolving it to Shiinotic and having such a contentious reception, it's like that's a questionable serve, right? Did she really give what the girls needed? Comfey is Girlypop. As of like the current generation with the Indigo Disc DLC, I feel like Comfey's like really finding a solid space because not only does it have like a lot of utility in a double battle, but it's also so adorable, and the shiny is really adorable too. Like, there's something fun about Comfey every time it's on your team. Mimikyu, Mother. Like, the way Mimikyu really made ghost typings officially girly pop. Like, you can look at the history. The moment Mimikyu was put in, it was like the question of where are we gonna go with ghost typing was finally answered. We're going cute, spooky, weird, girly pop. Tapu, is this Lele? Tapu Pinky? I just call them by their color. Tapu Pinky is, okay. And because Tapu Fini is very girly pop. I feel like I always want to compare these two because they're pink and purple. They're both like kind of like the feminine silhouette. And I just think that Tapu Fini has way more presence. Tapu Koko, I'm gonna honestly skip Tapu Koko. I never liked it. And Tapu Bulu, I'm gonna say is okay. Is that weird? I feel like Tapu Bulu has an aesthetic that can match a lot with the likes of like Comfey and Ribombee, Florges. Like, you can create this like sort of grassy moment with the Tapu Bulu, like the bull shape of it, things like that. Anyway, Hatterene. Mother, definitely Mother. I want to say it's girly pop because I feel like Hatterene is getting a lot of overplay because it came out so recently. It's like the most recent girly pop edition, and because of that, everybody is putting Hatterene on their team and being like, hi, I'm girly pop. It's like, yes, you are, but like, we also want to see it remixed. I'm failing to see a lot of people take Hatterene and try to elevate it. Like, you guys are just relying on it and saying like, well, I have a Hatterene on my team. Magearna. Magearna, by its very essence, is a mythical, so it's like vague and mysterious. Therefore, it's hard to have a lot of presence, but a lot of people be screaming for this girl when they see her. And for that, I'm gonna say girly pop. Impidimp, I'm gonna say is looks around because I feel like a lot of people weren't really interested in it. I think by the time Morgrim came, it was like, okay, what's happening? And then Grimmsnarl is also okay. Grimmsnarl is quite volatile in how its aesthetic can change. Like, it can go super mother, it can go super skip. And then the shiny just, there's so many more things to work with the shiny. I think that Grimmsnarl has a lot working with it. Even though it's a very masculine aesthetic, it's so campy, and the idea of it being in this witchy forest and its hair being its armor is really reminiscent of Bayonetta. There's something to work with there, and I really love when people include a Grimmsnarl on their team. Milcery is girly pop, and then Alcremie is mother, right? It's just a natural evolution. I think Zacian is a skip. I think that the dogs are fun. I thought the concept was fun. I really enjoyed the ba-woo music that was playing when you fought Eternatus, but I don't really want to consider them in this ranking. Like, I don't even think that Zacian is comparing to like Aromatisse. You see, like, you see the two? That's two different types of girly pop. This one is not. This one almost is. Well, Fido, the feeling that I got from Fido in Generation 9, mother. Now, this could go down, but we're considering it as of Generation 9. Mother, like, we were really excited. I think Darkspun went down to girly pop because I feel like the yellow coloring really threw us off. Even though it still retains the yellow coloring and it still retains that very, very cute puppy look, I feel like a lot of us, I was like, okay, please turn into like a really, really cute, like bright pastel fairy dog. Still a really cute fairy dog, but it just, it went a little bit more demure. Now let's do the Tinky Tinkies. So Tinkatink, girly pop. Tinkatink, girly pop. And then Tinkatink, mother. She's immediately turned herself into mother, and unlike Hatterene, she's not getting a lot of overplay. Actually, now that I'm saying that, she is Generation 9, so give it one generation and she will get overplay because that's how popular she is. However, I don't think that she's gonna plummet, or it has a chance to plummet as much as Hatterene. I don't know why. Maybe it's because she's like unhinged and unserious. There's like some comedy to it, so she can retain that, but I'm not gonna digress anymore. Enamorous. Looks around. I love Enamorous. I really am out here standing Enamorous. I think it's so gaudy and came out in Legends that I don't hear a peep of her. Now, if we've made it this far and y'all think that Enamorous got a bad placement, you need to start speaking up because I have not heard you since she came out. Screamtail, that's girly pop for sure. The moment everyone saw her, she started getting associated with Ariana Grande, and that's all you need to know. Flutter Mane, I'm going to say is okay. I think a lot of people who like the Mimikyus, like the Mimikyu girly pops, you know, we love Flutter Mane, but let's be real, she's not out here doing what Mimikyu is doing. And then Pheasantipity, Definitely girly pop. Like, it feels wrong to say that she's not at least girly pop. And, you know, looking at what she's compared to, it makes sense because she would not be the type to be down lower. And speaking of which, I'm looking at this now. The Tapu needs to go back up. I'm sorry, girl. I was comparing them too much. It's splitting hairs. She deserves to be in the girly pop category. Okay, so we just did that. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you want me to do the other typings, I definitely can do that. Please let me know some other video games you'd like me to do a tier list of as well. Final Fantasy 14 girlies, Genshin girlies. I'm a general gamer. You know, I'm gonna try to keep it all like girly pop because I feel like that's my brand on the internet. But I have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I'm the type of person that tends to just make things that I care about. So if I'm just not in the mood to do a certain game, it's not that I hate the game or I'm not ever playing it. I probably am playing it. I just didn't have an idea for a video. So, yeah. Thank you guys for almost 2,000. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I guess we're all having fun. Whatever you guys are up to after you're watching this video or as you're watching the video, I hope it's gonna go by well. I know it's gonna go by well. You know how you can lock it in? Subscribe. Claim it and subscribe, right? That's what they do on TikTok. Anyway, I hope you have a good one. Bye!